Hello, welcome to Saucy's Tea Time. I'm Fuss,
I'm Bunny.
I'm the leader.
and today we have an extra special guest, Savage.
Hi, I'm Savage, Reaver's cousin.
So, today we're going to talk about a few things, starting with Killing Floor 2. Now, Killing Floor itself, the first game, was really fun, although it was really buggy and janky in my opinion. But the early access of Killing Floor 2 has been amazing. It's a lot smoother than the original game itself. And the perk system itself has been updated and made better so that it actually matters. Do you have anything to add on to that, Bunny?
Yeah, so like overall the gameplay is very smooth, and I mean it's actually it makes you want to play the game more because of the enhanced changes they did with the perk system, and like even the mobs themselves are pretty they're not drastically different from the first game, but they tweaked them so they're much more interesting to fight.
There are some differences that I enjoy from the classes. For example, Field Medic. I play the Field Medic mostly because I really love it. Unlike the first game, and if I'm remembering correctly, the first game was mainly you heal people with your syringe, and I mean, that was pretty much it, wasn't it? Was there healing darts in the first one, Bunny?
I don't even remember because it was so not fun to play medic.
Yeah, it really wasn't enjoyable. I preferred marksman myself, but Field Medic in Killing Floor 2, on top of the syringe, you have special medic weapons. Like when you buy your weapon for your class specifically, there's three weapons. There's the medic SMG, shotgun, medic shotgun, and the medic assault rifle. And those was some SMG, shotgun, assault rifle with the added bonus that when you alt fire, which for me is middle mouse button, when you alt fire aiming at an ally, it shoots a healing dart which heals your allies from afar, which is really great because the healing darts aren't ammo themselves. Instead, it's sort of a recharge. You have 100, and I think you can fit 2 to 3 darts per shot, but it's gun specific. So if I shoot 3 allies with a healing dart with my SMG, and I've run out of healing dart charge, I can switch to my medic pistol that all medics start with, and shoot them 2 to 3 times with that instead. So it's a really neat system. I really enjoy it, and right now it really is the survivor class because there's been a couple times where Bunny and I have watched medics just fight the last boss on their own, and myself, I had to fight the last boss on my own, and it's so incredibly easy to survive because your syringe heals you for a lot more than everyone else's syringe heals himself. Now Bunny plays the Berserker. You want to go more in depth on that?
I mean, you hit shit with your shovel. It's pretty straightforward as a Berserker. You literally get enhanced defense. So like resistance to the bile stuff, fatty spews at you, increased defense against siren screams, and you just go around and you knock things heads off. And it's really satisfying. You just run around because you get increased movement speed and all this. But yeah, I mean it's just all around good fun. And we played it like, I don't know, 2 hours straight last night. It was pretty crazy. Me and Foof, we went to the all 7 waves to the boss, and we eventually died at the boss, but it was just us two, and it was like it wasn't easy, but it was not stupid hard like the first one. If you were playing with 2 people in the first one at our skill level, you definitely would die within the first like 4 waves. So
What about? Oh, go on.
Oh, no, go on.
What about the? There was an interesting mechanic you were telling me yesterday about the pulverizer. Is it called the pulverizer hammer?
Oh yeah. So the hammer, it's a melee weapon primarily, but the heavy attack, because you get 2 different attacks with melee weapons. So your Left click, left click is your like regular attacks, your light attacks, and then your right click is your heavy attack. And when you heavy attack with the pulverizer hammer, it like hits them, but also has like an extra kick to it, kind of like like an explosive charge. It's what it looks like, and it. So, if you ever encountered a flesh pound, those things are really scary, and they charge you, and they're really like they're gonna fuck you up when they see you. So with the hammer, on normal mode, it's like 3-4 hits with the heavy attack, and it's down. It's like it's so satisfying to just be like, oh my god, I could kill this thing and not have to like worry about it. I mean, other than getting mobbed and stuff while you're at it, focusing on him. But yeah, it's really fun.
For reference, most of the mechanics we're talking about deal with normal mode, because hard mode, all of this is like times 10. Now let's talk about the interesting changes to the mobs themselves. Like, for one, I find really funny the clots, the generic pale face NPCs. Pale face trash mobs. They seem to have two walks. One is they kind of just sort of look scared as they walk and have their hands sort of flailing in the air a bit. But the second one that Bunny and I really love, they're like thrusting their fists to the side as they walk, and they're stomping all personally, and it's like they're on their way to a job interview and they're pep talking themselves. Like they just got done talking themselves in the mirror, I can do this, I can win this job, and then they leave the fucking place after you, trying to kill you so that they can nail that interview. It's really great.
Yeah, they're pretty silly. And I mean, so since we're talking about mobs, so all the mobs from the first game are in this one. They're updated. They have so we have the clots, and then we have the gores, which is the dudes with the blades. And then you have, your sirens, your flesh pounds, your scracks, and missing one. Yeah, the husks. So what's new is they added this one mob that they have like pins in their heads and stuff, and they're like hugging themselves, and they're just really fast, and they're really like, if you don't notice them at first, they're gonna be in your face like right away, and it's it's pretty scary. You turn around and they're just like in your face, and you're just like, holy shit.
And it seems their primary mechanic is they run at you, and then they let go, because they're like grabbing their shoulders. They let go and they try to fucking grab you, and it's really terrifying, especially when you're surrounded by them and you're just backing up, shooting them in the head, trying to get away from them. They just keep trying to play grab hands with you. Something they did change, well, the husk, as Benny has mentioned many times, and I found it to be true, the husk seems to be a lot easier to kill. He starts charging a spire at you. Run at him, but run at him either. I tend to run at him straight and to the right, and it's really easy because he shoots at where you are and not where you. He shoots at where you were, not where you are. And since they added the sprint mechanic in Killing Floor 2, and you don't have stamina, so you can sprint indefinitely. You're just slower the less health you are. It's really easy to just get in his face and just, if you have a shotgun, about one or two shots should do it, depending on what perk class you have. Like with my field medic shotgun, if I'm point blank in his range, I found I can shoot him one shot, head gone. But something that's really interesting that I really like is the change to the stalkers. For those of you who haven't played Killing Floor 1 or don't know the name Stalkers, Moo and I, Bunny is Moo, I'm just gonna call her Moo from now on. We refer to them as sluts because in the first game, they go invisible, they sneak up on you and attack you, and they just look really slutty.
Yeah, no, they're like topless, their boobies are hanging out, they have like lace undies and stuff. And this new one, they're not as I guess the term would be sexy. They're just kind of like really gray looking and just kind of like disgusting, but yeah, and it's they're I don't think they have underwear on, but it doesn't matter. They're just you don't see them, you kill them, and then they're gone.
Something I really like about the stalkers now is that not only do they look less slutty and they look more like actual monsters, when they come up on you, they attack you. But then, as soon as they go stealth again, they don't just stay there. I've had times where one stalker has caused me no end of hell because I didn't notice it before it got to me. It attacked me and it does this little flip thing and goes to the side or maneuvers around me. So they're actually a lot, much more of a formidable foe. I mean, unless of course you have a shotgun and you notice them right away, then they're just dead in one hit. But that's the thing, you have to notice them right away. If you don't have a commando on your team, a commando are able to see the stalkers. They have like their stealth, their invisibility, whatever makes them invisible, is laced with red, like it sort of looks like they're covered in like a red electrified water. And commandos also have a perk that can make it so that your allies can see the stalker as well if they're close enough to you. So it's really interesting what they've changed is that the Scrax and the flesh pans, as Moo mentioned, are still terrifying as hell. But honestly, even in hard mode, as long as I've tended to try and do my best to grab the attention of the Scrake first, and if I have my team around me, then I'll grab its attention, pull out my scalpel, and just do nothing but parry it while everyone else kills it. And it's really easy to take it down like that. Of course, that's not taking into account that as you get more into the waves of hard mode, not only will you have a Scrack, you might have two Scracks, and you might have a Flesh Pound and a bloated fatty right next to you, all garnering for your attention while you're trying to take down these really hard mobs first. So I think I read somewhere someone was like, it feels like they took hardcore players of Killing Floor and asked them, how can we make this game harder? And it's really great. Bunny, you want to go on about some of the? I don't remember the first boss in Killing Floor so much, so you want to give some comparisons of the two?
Yeah, so the first boss was kind of like this dude who had like a gun arm, and he wasn't remarkable. Like he was easily forgettable. Like he's the boss who was just there to finish off, the level. And it's evident by the fact that when you actually fight him in the first game, there's still waves and waves of other mobs that come, and I mean he's invisible, he runs away, you can, if you have a bunch of demolition people on your team, you just buy the remote mines and you just put it in like his path and detonate him when he's like on top and he's like finished. He's not, he's not a threat really if you know how to deal with them. But now in Kill of More 2, you have this mad scientist dude who is like, first of all, he has this German accent, so he's kind of, he's evil because he's German or something like that. German mad scientist. And so one of the things he does is he throws nerve gas grenades, and that shit will eat through your armor, eat through your health. He has explosive grenades, which is, you better run away from that. Like, if he starts throwing them, you better run away because they're fucking crazy. And then he has guns. He has guns, and he shoots. And then at some point in the fight, he'll throw down smoke grenades, and he will get to the closest person on your team and drain their health. And at that stage, you have to heal your teammate, or else they will, be considerably less healthy. And what happens is he does it, I think, 2-3 times during the whole fight. But what happens is when he's draining the health of your teammate, he replenishes his entire health. So, I mean, it seems like a BS thing to happen, but like visually you'll see him. He starts out as a glowing green, and then turns yellow, and then when he's red and staticky, that's when he's like his most vulnerable. That's when you can lay on the damage, and eventually he will get killed. But it's not a baby fight like the first game. There is no cheat way to get rid of him. You have to run away. You have to make sure you shoot him correctly. You make sure you have to heal your persons. You make like I watched Foof fight him solo, fight him on 3 separate occasions, and it was literally running around in circles, and hopefully you don't get hit, healing yourself, and hopefully shooting him and not running out of ammo. And it's scary. It's like if you were in a horror movie and you are literally the only, like the stabby types, and you're the only one there, and you're just like the only thing you can do is run away. Which makes him a really good boss. He's very memorable. I hope they have different types of boss eventually, because this is an early access game, which is kind of crazy because it's a really polished game for an early access.
Yeah, that boss is definitely scary. A lot of the times, 2 of those 3 times where all 3 of those times where I've had to fight him, the only reason I've won is because Moo was watching the boss and helping me out. And also, she was in free roam. I mean, you might consider this cheating or whatever, but it was helpful. She was in free roam and she was telling me where to find ammo and laying out a path for me. But despite her doing that, it was hard and scary as hell, because when he's chasing you, his voice, at least I might just be a trick of my mind, but I'm pretty sure her voice gets progressively louder as it gets closer to you. And because the camera behind your back over the shoulder is not that far behind you, you're cut up at around the waist, I think. So you can't really see him when he's behind you unless he's physically hitting you. So as you're running, and one example, one of the maps is a snow area. I was running in circles around the map, and I would wait at a turn point, around this building, basically running a circle outside around this building, and I would stand at a corner of the building, wait until I got into view, and shoot him as I started to turn the corner, and then kept running. Moo, I was out of ammo. Moo knew where I could get ammo, so she directed me through the building, but there's some straightaways, and it gets really scary because you hear him right behind you, and you get lucky because instead of attacking you, he throws grenades or something like that. One thing that was really bad is I didn't know the map so well as Mew did, and she was telling me how to get outside from a certain place. I went downstairs, found a wall, a gate, and didn't notice there was another flight of stairs behind me to continue going. And I was just like, fucking shit, this is not the right way to go. And I had to run up past him and almost died doing it. Um, it's really terrifying, the boss itself, and a lot of people, even in normal mode, it's hard to beat him unless people are smart about it. People make the mistake like, oh, he's attacking this person, let me go and unload on his back or something, right? You don't want to be near him even when he's not targeted on you, because he can just as easily turn around and target on you. And if you're super unlucky and he has his guns out and there's not a corner near you for the line of sight him, chances are you are dead, because all the other things it's easy to get past. If he throws nerf gas, which has a quite a big AoE around his nerf gas bombs, um, well, you can get out of it relatively quickly, as in heal yourself up, get out of it. The bombs, don't be anywhere near it because those will be the death of you. The guns, though, his only accurate, I should say, long range that he has, it really eats through your armor and really eats through your health, and this is just on normal. Which is why, if you're the last one fighting him, or if you're in a group fighting him, it would be best to fight him in a room with lots of obstructions between you and him. Or you guys are gonna have a very, very short fight.
Yeah.
So, you might have noticed Nalair and Savage aren't talking much about Killing Floor. That's because they don't own it. I don't think Savage has even played Killing Floor. Have you played Killing Floor, Savage?
Did.
Savage is not here.
He,
But
he must be getting the talk to by the wifey.
yeah, okay. Well, I don't believe Savage has played it, but I know Nalair has played Killing Floor. I believe she
I
liked
think
it.
Savage has. Yeah. I liked the original Killing Floor. I haven't played the second one.
Well, $30 for early access is pretty steep. Compared, the first one was what, $15?
Well, I
Was
mean,
it?
I think we all got it on sale or in a humble bundle, so
FT probably got it for me.
yeah, it wasn't as pricey as this one, but
Yeah, I always liked it. I liked it a lot better than Left 4 Dead.
Yeah.
I totally fucking hate Left 4 Dead, actually. But that's a different story. Yeah, it's okay, but I actually like the mini game of Nazi zombies and what was it, Call of Duty World at War? The
Yeah.
first time? Yeah, the first game that they had that in. Then it transferred over to Black Ops, and I don't know if they still keep doing it, but
they do.
ooh.
It's the Call of Duty's cash cow.
At least Treyarch's cash cow. But yeah, I always like that one much better because feels so much more complex when you really want to get further into the game, even though you're never gonna win because you're all gonna die. It's just there is no winning in the game. It's just a matter of to see how far you can get this time versus the last time.
Who's the last one alive this
And
time?
I know, and I really like that. And it was one of the first zombie games I started playing, I think, a few years ago when I got World at War. And it's really interesting because it's much better when you play with 4 people, but you can do it solo. But you'll have 4 windows to guard, usually in the first area. And, yeah, Savage is back. And, but you'll get money, and there's like a whole currency system you have to worry about, which I think they have that in Killing Floor as well. But,
What's
they all
the
start with pistols and shit.
what's the currency system for? Is it for like to unlock areas or buy new weapons or what?
To do
Yes.
to unlock new areas, and the goal you want is to get the mystery box, which can give
Yeah.
you a random weapon. It always costs 900 points.
Damn.
This is what makes it really cool because this can either give you a really shitty weapon like a pistol, or it can give you the best weapon in the game like a ray gun where you just blast through zombies relentlessly. But after so long, the mystery box will change places and go to a different part of the map where you have to look for it. Fucking love this because it forces you to all make a decision that, oh, should we open a door? Because when you open a door, you open new windows, and new windows means more zombies. And so it's like, well, do we want to risk it right now? Eventually, you're gonna run out of ammo, so you do have to risk it. And so
You don't
because
know the
ammo is
mystery
always
box
scarce.
is.
You can if you look up, if you know where to look in the map, you can actually see a beam of light shooting out, and that's always the mystery box. So if you're ever confused as where it is, you can find it that way. And there's also only a limited number of places where it's going to be. So if you memorize where it's going to be, it's pretty easy to find it.
That's pretty interesting. That's actually
But there's also buffs that you can pay for with points, like little perks. They added this on the later maps, I think, because it's like a DLC cash cow. So there's lots of DLC zombie maps.
Why don't they just
And
make
these
their
buffs
own
are-
game?
I know, right? It would be better as
It
its
would.
own game, especially because in the last two for World at War, the last 2 maps they came out with, they had these 4 distinct characters: an American, a Japanese, a German, and a Russian. These guys are fucking hilarious. They're always saying these witty comebacks against the zombies and against each other, and adds a lot of personality, a lot of life to it, and I really like that. And the buffs are essential when you want to get into like round 20 and farther, and it's just really tough and really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's no
so,
boss though.
my brother plays Call of Duty Zombies. Like, that's the
Yeah.
only thing he plays on Call of Duty.
Right, yeah.
And I think the most recent one is like Black Ops 2
Yeah.
that has zombies. So yeah, I mean, other than the fact that he cheats at it,
Aw.
there's this like Western themed underground I think it's like it's either supposed to be a theme park or it's literally an actual Western theme park thing, but they have this gun, and it's like it recharges, but it makes like this energy ball thingy like directly in front of you, and you just get up into this tree and you just aim down and just stick a bunch of things in the button that keeps it on, and you just, it's like, oh my god.
Yeah, it gets pretty
Yeah.
wacky. It's gotten a lot more wacky than it was. Really serious in the first map they released just to try it out, but now it's like super demonic but goofy at the same time.
Yeah, and then the thing about like the ray gun, they added like a thing where you can take it to like get it upgraded and
Yeah,
make it even more OP.
yeah, that's
And well, yeah, it's a really fun mode. Like I played it
Oh,
in
yeah.
World at War, because World at War is like the only Call of Duty game I like. And
it's one of the better ones, at least.
yeah, I really like playing the campaign, at least the Russian campaign. Not the
Oh,
US
yeah.
one's not that great,
Yeah,
but the Russian one was pretty fun.
Reznov's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's like the best.
He
Like
is.
when they brought him back in Black Ops
Yeah.
1, I was like, oh my god, they brought back Reznov? Oh my goodness. And then you play it through.
But it was all a lie. Spoilers.
Oh my god. Don't. It breaks my heart, especially
Yeah.
when you do that one mission with. So in World at War, you as the player, you play Dmitry Petrenko,
Yeah.
and your best friend forever, Reznov, is like, oh my
Hubbu's
god,
alive.
You're alive. Let's
Best
go
COD Hubbu.
kill things.
Yeah.
And so in
He's a really good character too.
in Black Ops, you do like a flashback, and you aren't Petrenko anymore. I think you're Reznov. I don't remember, because I was like visibly crying. Like I was like, I can't believe this is happening. This can't be happening. Why is this happening?
Yeah, you play
And
as
then-
Mason, a new character in that game,
Yeah, and
and you
there's
just
this
meet up with Reznov.
there's this one part where Petrenko like looks at you and he's like, Reznov, after this, can we go home? And I was like, oh, poor baby. No. No, when some stupid character says that, they're gonna die.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I know there wasn't like a standalone game of that, but they did release a version on the iPad and iPod, and it's Call of Duty Zombies, and it's actually,
That's right.
I mean, as far as game wise, it's very similar, same levels,
Mhm.
same weapons, but just controls are super wanky and super hard to play.
Yes.
But I guess if you had a controller like a wireless controller, which I don't even know if it's compatible with a wireless controller, but if it was, that
Like a Bluetooth controller?
Yeah, like a Bluetooth
I've
controller.
actually played that now that I remember it years ago when I first got an iPod, and I couldn't figure out a way to get multiplayer on it, if there even is a way. And
Yeah, and it may not when it first came out, but now it is up to 4
Uh-huh.
players multiplayer. But see, I think it's local multiplayer. I don't know if it's actually, like online web. And then, but they have added all the maps, like all the current maps, except for I think the last Black Ops. They didn't add that on there. But
Yeah, so if you have the newest Call of Duty with the zombies mode, you can get like all the DLC maps from like the past games, I believe. And well, of course, for a price, because it's fucking
DLC,
that's where they
baby.
get it. But yeah, you can get like they bring the maps into like the future engine or whatever, the more modern engines, and yeah, and it actually is a pretty good mode to play, but it's expensive.
Yeah, it is. That's the shitty part about it.
But yeah, so I think the main differences between like Killing Floor and the Call of Duty Zombies mode is in the Call of Duty games, like they don't restrict you from buying like new weapons. Like there's like in Call of Duty they have like outlines of the weapon on the wall, and you can go up to it and be like, oh, do you want to buy this weapon? And you're like, yes, give me this weapon. Whereas in Killing Floor, the only time you can buy weapons is in between waves. So after the wave is over, you go to the trading pod, and that's where you will purchase your new guns, refill your ammo, get armor, get yourself grenades, and stuff, and then you
That's,
start the whole thing over again.
It is true, but the weapons on the wall are there for a reason because they're always the shittiest weapons. You're never going to get the
Yeah.
best stuff. Like the mystery boxes, what you really want.
Yeah, so
And it's also cool that when you, whenever you're getting low on zombies, you know they're running out because the next round is dictated by the amount of zombies there are. So you throw a grenade specifically at a zombie to get it to a crawl mode where its legs are blown off.
they're
And then
they're
it's slow
slower.
as shit, and you just run around and you don't have to worry about zombies, and you can open up your pass, decide what you're gonna do, and all that good stuff. And yeah,
Yeah. So there's this in the Call of Duty mode. There's this monkey. This the ones with the chimes, and
The
there's
later
like
levels,
bombs attached to it, and you throw it, and they starts making noises to attract the zombies, and you just see this like mob of zombies trying to get at this monkey, and then you just see them
blow up.
That's so
and then
sad.
they have like the bouncing Betty bombs. Those are pretty funny.
And there's little like buffs you get whenever you kill certain zombies that drop on the ground, like they can eliminate all the zombies on the map at that time.
You can
Which is
explode
like a
all of
nuke.
them.
Yeah, they all blow up.
Give yourself
Max
unlimited
ammo,
ammo.
and just really good. Double damage.
Bouncing Betties
Yeah.
make me think of the bouncy ass bombs in Borderlands 2.
Yeah, so they're it's kind of the same idea. So bouncing Betties, you plant them in the ground, and then if they get triggered, they bounce up and explode. Whereas in Borderlands 2, they literally bounce all over the fucking place.
Yeah. I wanted to go on about what you were saying about the currency system long ass time ago. What I really like in Killing Floor 2, well, you know how you say the shitty weapons are what you can buy in World War. Well, the shitty weapons that we can get are pretty much on the floor for us, so it's free for us. But we can use that, sell it for 100 for a little bit of extra cash. But what you need to do, what you really should do in like Killing Floor 2, is wait until the 3rd or 4th wave before you buy, say, body armor, because you can get through, especially if you have a field medic on your team, you can get through the 3rd or 4th wave without buying body armor. And generally, I save my money so I can buy my first, my cheapest primary weapon for my class perk, and then I put ammo in stuff that I want ammo in, and then look for ammo. I really like how starting off, you really have to think ahead. It's not like, oh, I just did this wave, I'm gonna go buy a bunch of shit that I need. Oh, I just did that wave, I'm gonna buy something like I do every other way. You have to think ahead. You have to perform well during the waves in order to even get money. And then if you don't perform well, then you need to start skipping on things so you can buy that precious body armor, or you can buy that primary weapon that you really need that would help you out. Like from wave 1 to 3 now, I have pretty much all but stopped even buying anything at the treasure pod. If I can't afford a weapon within the first 3 to 4 waves, I don't go to the treasure pod. I immediately start running around and grab the last bit of ammo, because when a new wave starts, all the stuff that's on the ground disappears and new stuff appears elsewhere. So I go and grab the last bit of that ammo, and then when the wave starts, I go grab more ammo, stuff like that. Grab this random assault rifle that's on the ground, use that instead of my main weapons that I have to conserve ammo. So then when it's out of ammo, I just go sell it and I have more money. But on the flip side of that, when you do that really well, pretty quick, you're gonna have, as a field medic, my end loadout, the 2 primary weapons I have are shotgun, because the shotguns are really powerful, and the assault rifle, because I find it better than the SMG. I like it better than the SMG. And then I'll have whatever weapons I started with. Well, once you finish that, that's it. Once you get to what you want, there's no upgrading the weapons. And if a wave is hard for you, even with those weapons, I love that fact, because it's not going to get any better than that, because you've already bought the best you can get. And if a wave is hard, it gets easier only through your skill and your teammates' skill alone. And I really like that that fact.
And that's a huge thing in Zombies too. Is, you gotta
Skill.
plan ahead, and like if you see everyone else getting these big ass weapons, like 2 people get a ray gun and 1 person gets a giant machine gun, you can be like, well, I'm okay on ammo. I'll just save my money.
Yeah, I was like, well, they got it.
And you can just go to the next round, and or you could hopefully get lucky enough. Oh, I don't know if it's luck, but like there's specific rounds where these demon dogs come out. At the end of this round, you always get max ammo because these are the enemies that take the most ammunition. That's why it's only demon dogs for that round and not zombies. But yeah, I think sense of strategy is always good in zombie games like this.
Yeah, I mean,
or
'cause
firefight games like these.
there's so many of them that you gotta make it
Yeah.
fun, different.
I think you can even like teleport to certain places in some of the Nazi zombie maps and the later ones, and you can like find secrets by shooting these little teddy bears in really hard to find places. It's got a lot to it. And it's a shame that the it has this kind of silly but evil.
It's the innocence of society
theme.
that's left. Just shoot it.
Pretty much. There's only one map on the whole Nazi zombies thing that I think is total bullshit. And even the name, it means it's called Verrückt. In German, it means it's like insanity, and that's what it is. It's this undead insane asylum that's like been abandoned, and so it's really creepy and all, but there are so many fucking windows everywhere you go. The hallways are all really narrow, so it's hard to run between zombies when you don't have any ammunition. You're just like stuck. There is no good place in the whole map to really camp at to, farm some zombies and get better points and stuff. It's just complete hell. Hate it. Shouldn't exist.
What's the melee like in it?
Absolute
have a
crap.
knife.
Unless you guys are lucky enough to get an instant kill, which means every single hit you do to a zombie or to an enemy kills it instantly. That means you go around with your knife because you want to save as much ammo as possible, and you start cutting up zombies' heads everywhere, and it's a lot of fun. There's just little things like that really.
Yeah, that's great. Because like in Killing Floor, earlier poke modes, I should say, because I believe the support is able to distribute ammo to other people. But
Yeah.
before you get those ranks up, it's great to have two. It's great to have maybe one of each class, but more so, it's great earlier to have a field medic, but also really, really great to have a berserker on your team because they don't need ammo. So
Yeah.
after they're done filling up their body armor and buying what they need, and if they can't afford what they need, like Moo, she's all the time when she's a berserker throwing money at everyone because they don't need to replenish ammo unless you got that pulverizer weapon that uses gas. So they are such a cash cow for your team. It's so great.
I do wish you could give points to other players in like Nazi zombies, because I think that would be a really good way. Because I think if you die completely, it's like you can get like knocked down and your teammates have to revive you, but if they don't get you, you die for the whole round and you come back the next round. I'm not sure if you lose points whenever you die like that.
Oh, that was
Can't
suck.
remember. But you can't trade your points with other players, so it's like if someone comes in at round 10 and they have 500 points, which is the bare minimum.
Oh, fuck.
At the time, and everyone else has like 3,000. It's like, well, they're probably not going to survive. And they lose all their perks. They lose all their perks they might have had. It's really bad time at that late stage. And
yeah, I think that's a good thing that we can give other people money because we've had people come in and at like wave 5 or wave 6 out of 7, and we just throw our money at them. Because at that point, if we're doing well enough at that point and we haven't died, then we should have all the weapons that we want and be able to replenish our body armor at the very least, and we can always find ammo so we can chuck money at the new person. Or like you said in the zombie game, the Call of Duty zombie game, you have those people that have those huge ass ray guns and the machine guns. They're obviously getting more kills, right, and getting more points than everyone else.
Yeah, which means they're going to get more points than other people.
So that kind of
and it's also
gives your
really
team.
bad. Like, since it's a console game mainly, it doesn't really. I don't think it had its own private servers when it came out. So basically, like if the game starts with 4 players, the zombies are going to be scaled to a difficulty that's for 4 players, right? And so it'll be different for 3 and 2 and 1. So you're going to have the max number of zombies on your 4 players, but if 2 people leave or 3 people leave, for whatever reason doing this, it's still going to be as hard as 4 zombies when you reach round 10 or 15 or whatever, so you're really fucked at that point. And
like
basically
Dark
you might as well
Souls.
just quit the game.
Like on a Dark Souls boss, Dark Souls 2 anyways, when if your phantom dies, the boss still has
and then
that.
you're you need to still fight.
You still, yeah. Well, we're gonna talk about Dark Souls a bit, so I'll save that discussion for that.
Be a long one.
Yeah, so Killing Floor 2 is early access, available on Steam. Regular version is $29.99, and you can get the digital deluxe for $10 more. But yeah, if you it's definitely a really good game. It's definitely worth the price, but if you don't want to pay for it, you can always probably wait for a sale or something.
Christmas time.
Yeah.
So now
So now
let's talk
I
about
want to talk about next. I want to talk about Scholar of the First Sin.
Dark Souls 2.
Yes, since we're on that topic.
spooky.
Kind of controversial, really.
Yeah, I mean,
There's bad things to say about it, but good things as well, so not.
I know a lot of people are saying it's not just a remaster. It's a different game. I've watched some. I don't have it. I know you have it, Blair. I don't have it myself, so I haven't. I've been watching playthroughs. Like one of the bigger things that can really affect your playthrough that I noticed early in the game was the fact that those who don't know, well, if you're not interested in Dark Souls or Dark Souls 2, you probably just skip past this. But for those of you who haven't played Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin, but have played Dark Souls 2, you get the Dull Ember and the Iron Keep, which is a bit later in the game. Well, if you're just starting, it's definitely you're gonna want to do it a bit later in the game if you're just starting Dark Souls 2.
Getting to the Iron Keep still takes a while, no matter what you do.
Yeah.
So.
Now, in the first area of the game, there's the main boss of that area, but there's also a side boss that you can do to unlock an area of the Lost Bastille, which to get to Lost Bastille, another route, you have to go through an area, Heights Tower of Flame, go through the, what's it called?
No Man's Wharf.
No Man's Wharf.
One of my favorite levels.
Yeah,
so.
fucking... And,
especially in the Scholar of the First Sin edition. It's actually really good.
Yeah. Well, now that I have a better computer, the lag isn't so bad. It's actually a really cool area. But then after No Man's Wharf and you kill that boss, then you go to Lost Bastille. But there's an alternate route. The first area that most people go to, and that it's recommended you go through for the progression, is Forest Lost Giants. You kill the giant. There's another boss. You got a key while doing that. There's another boss that you can fight, that you can now unlock and get to, called the Pursuer. You kill the Pursuer, and it's an alternate route to Lost Bastille. There's actually, you can't get to it takes you to a bonfire, and like, what is it, the Lost Tower or something?
The bonfire?
Yeah.
I don't remember what it's called.
It's like...
I don't remember the bonfire names.
I think it's the Lost Tower, because you can't get to this bonfire unless you have gone through that route and killed the Pursuer. Now, here's where I get there was differences that I've seen, like different NPCs, new phantoms, stuff like that. But this was the first really big difference that I saw before the person I watched went to Heidi's Tower of Flame and started fighting all those Hide Knights, was the fact that in the regular Dark Souls 2, when you get all the way to Iron Keep, when you get to where the Smelter Demon is, instead of going to the Smelter Demon, you turn around, take a jump, take another jump to a broken like staircase, and at the end of the staircase is a Dull Ember, which you give to the guy who you go to enchant all your stuff. He's the Macduff, the only blacksmith that you can use to enchant things.
Yeah.
Now, when you beat the Pursuer and go to Lost Tower of Flame, there's 2 chests. I forgot what the other chest has.
I think like an Estus flashcard, maybe. Because they're pretty rare in the Scholar of the First Sin edition. You have to really find them.
Yeah.
That's one thing
I've heard there's a lot.
I was like, I don't have very many Estus. And I was like, crap.
Yeah. But now, the other chest in the Lost Tower drops a Dull Ember so early in the game. I was like, wow, that's really big. Speaking of things missing, did you notice that when you went to Heidi's Tower of Flame, you know how when you kill the first big guy with the two-handed I don't even know if you call that a hammer. It's fucking huge.
Like a giant mace.
A
he
giant
has.
mace. He normally drives
Yeah.
something like Bone does. Did you notice that he didn't this time?
I can't remember. He might not have. Sublime Modus is also really rare in the Skull of the First
Yeah,
Sin.
because the person I watched, I saw him kill him, and I saw nothing drop. I was like, what? That's what I'm pretty
I
sure.
know he has human effigy on that corpse behind him, but
Yeah, he's supposed to
I
drop
don't know
a
if it's
Sunlight
there.
Bone does. And I remember thinking that, and I was wondering if maybe I was confused. But then the person playing was like, wait, there's no more Sublime Bone dust from this guy? I was like, yes.
Yeah. So the game feels really different because of the enemies being in different spots and being more logical places for those types of enemies, like the Hide Knights are now at Hyde's Tower of Flame, not just scattered wherever. More enemies do patrol routes and stuff, which is really nice, especially the Hide Knights after you kill the Dragon Rider. And then if you want to go after the Dragon Slayer afterwards, you have to go through a shit ton of Hide Knights and a dragon, because that's a brilliant spot to put a dragon. For a Dragon Slayer and a Dragon Rider. So
Yeah, that's why I said that. I was like, except for when I saw him go through Highest Tower, I was like, what? This Hide Knight, like, and a fucking dragon?
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous, but it works. It makes the place more interesting because I always thought that place was actually the least. It was one of my favorite places in Dark
It's so
Souls
beautiful.
2, but it is beautiful. But it was level design wise, it's like one of the most least interesting places.
Yeah.
It's pretty. You can just see the path. Like that's all you got. It's not exactly treacherous. So.
Where is the dragon?
Right in front of the giant drawbridge and in front of the
Yeah,
Ornstein wannabe.
that's what I
So,
thought. See, it would have made sense if they put the dragon in the big clearing right before the dragon rider,
well,
not the old
not
dragon slayer.
necessarily. Oh, it may be, but
Yeah.
but the thing is, the reason it works really well there is because there's a little bridge you have to cross, and so you
Have to kill it.
almost have to get hurt by his giant flame blast that he shoots straight out towards, because that's what he'll do. And when you're fighting him up there, when he'll try to stomp on you with his feet and all that, but he'll jump up in the air, which means you better book it across the bridge because there's nowhere else safe on that platform to get away from that giant fire blast coming down on your ass. So it's really pretty fun to have that fight, especially since the Skull of the First Sin Edition never makes you fight those kind of dragons again, even at Dragon Area.
They sleep?
The whole area is optional, and they're asleep unless you actually hit them. And you get bonus stuff when you hit them, so you're kind of.
When you fight them.
It's a good thing too, dude. But
when you fought them, did you notice a change in their AI? Because it sounds like the dragon you're describing in Hiding Tower of Flame has different attack patterns than the normal dragons do from Dark Souls 2.
No, it's all the same. They just use it at the appropriate times. Like, using his giant flame blast forward makes crossing that bridge really treacherous because he can knock you off. It hurts you, for one, and I think you always get knocked down by it, which means you're going to get hit by it again if you try to roll out of it since it's so huge. And so it really makes it a really stressful kind of fight. I believe you can also cheese the dragon just by shooting arrows at it from below. You really don't want to fight.
Yeah, I saw that. Just
which you can also do the Dragon Rider too. You can shoot him with arrows if you really don't want to fight him. But
oh goodness.
But he's pretty easy. So, but the problem with Skull of the First Sin is that a lot of people aren't happy with it. Not happy with the idea of paying more for what Dark Souls 2 quote like should have been. And there's some validity to that because, yeah, I mean, for me, it wasn't full price for one thing, since I had Dark Souls 2 and I had all the DLC. So for me, it was only $20. They reduced it down. But if you're for PC players like myself, this is kind of a fuck you. After having bought all the DLC and the original game, like pretty much on the day it came out for PC, it's the graphics and the being enhanced and the enemies changing, all that may not seem worth $20 to everybody. I mean, it's worth it for me. I love Dark Souls, but would I say it's worth it to everyone else? And who was like in my position too? I don't know about that. It's if you're someone who doesn't have Dark Souls 2 at all, then yeah, it's a great deal because then you get all the DLC, you get all the updated graphics, and you're set to go. It's perfect for people like that, and it's even perfect for Xbox One owners and PS4 owners because they didn't get Dark Souls 2, and so here you go. So yeah, it doesn't really help that this controversy comes up after a whole controversy with how the game was advertised early on, before it was released. The original game was released. A lot of trailers had a very well-polished light engine where the player would go into a dark area and it was super dark, and they would have the opportunity to either use a torch, which is a whole new mechanic in Dark Souls 2, or forget that and keep using their shield. Dark Souls 2 was released, though, this lighting engine was completely different, and these areas were not dark enough, even on the darkest settings, to make it so that you had to use the torch. There was only one area like that, and I think it was the gutter that was actually dark enough to warrant a torch.
Even the Black Gulch, which is deeper underground with more lit up than the gutter, which is dumb.
Which it's the same in Skyrim the First Edition. I think it's supposed to be illuminated a little more, but
why?
Yeah, I don't know why. I guess there's other areas to find. There's more secrets in the Black Gulch, I guess. Well, I don't know. It's so the whole thing. Namco Bandai or whatever really has been shooting themselves in the foot, all because of Dark Souls 2, and it's really kind of sad to see because it's like, I don't know. It's hopefully if there is a Dark Souls 3, there's never going to have this kind of bullshit with how they advertise it and how they come out with the expansions that want more money from more players. So
or you have to mod it just to get it as dark as it is in the trailer.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the good thing for PC owners with the original Dark Souls too. You can mod it to make it look better and force you to use the torch and all have all that good stuff. But that's not the case for 360 owners or PS3 owners. They're stuck with what they got. So,
how much of the game have you played?
How much of the Skull of the First Sin one?
Mm-hmm.
I beat it. I beat the whole thing, did all the DLC, did everything.
Oh, that's right. I was there.
Yeah. And I do, I like it better. But one of the cool things is that New Game Plus actually does make other changes too. Not just the changes that you see from the original game, but like there are now more mimics placed in different spots because I learned that the hard way. So.
Are there new chests?
I haven't seen new chests, but just like they change which chests are mimics now on New Game Plus.
Oh, that's what you mean. Okay. I thought there were just more random chests that were just mimics.
I don't think so. I haven't gotten far enough to see how much they've changed with New Game Plus. But,
so that means there's... So if you kill the mimic... Oh yeah, that's right. When you kill a mimic, you get loot, right?
Yeah.
So you're technically not denied the loot.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
It's just... You know that little area right before the Forest of the Fallen Giants where you go into that dark kind of chasm-like area right after Majula?
Yes.
Well, there's a chest there, and I was like, alright, I'm just going to open this chest, and then there's teeth on it, and then I'm being eaten. And I'm like, why did they change that?
Oh my god, that's horrible.
Yeah,
that's one of the more memorable chests, because they're like one of the first 3 chests.
It's one of the first chests you get in the game. It's like, bye-bye. And in the original, and not New Game Plus, it's not a mimic. It's just a regular chest. And so it's just like, oh fuck. But yeah, it's the whole graphics being enhanced is a lot better. But it's kind of weird because I still think the lighting engine on Dark Souls 1 still looks better.
It's really dark.
Well, it's not that it's super dark, but it's like it feels like more light's being reflected off armor. Like there's a particular part in Dark Souls 1 called the Depths, where if you look at the walls, it really looks like they're wet, like you're in a sewer place, and you can like see the light reflecting off the water on the walls.
Oh, that's awesome.
And
I know.
It's a really cool effect. And just like, and there's a special place in Dark Souls 1 called the Tomb of the Giants, which is super dark, and it's really dark. And You don't
could
get a
actually
torch, you have to use something else to light your way.
not playing Dark Souls 1 myself, but I can actually see what you're talking about because
Yeah.
one area that really stands out for me, because I know I'll dislike it, is Blighttown. And it's not because
Well,
of the poison, because it seems hard. It's because the lighting in it itself is dim. It's
it's
not
pretty
dark. It's
dim.
not bright. It just seems really dim to me, and I
Yeah.
hate that kind of lighting. But it sets the mood for the place so perfectly, and I know I'll hate playing every second of it. But you know me well enough to know if I hate playing something because of how because it's difficult or because of the situation, I usually
Yeah.
love hating it. So it's like I love it that I hate it.
I knew back when I first started playing Dark Souls 1, I knew the Blighttown was supposed to be this really ominous place, really dangerous place. I never had a problem with it ever. I never thought it was a hard place. I never had lag problems that a lot of people had. I just thought, yeah, it's just kind of boring. Really. I had never thought the enemies were that difficult. I always had my shield raised up. The only time I thought it was difficult was when I did my recent no shield run, because everything's fucking difficult when you do a no shield run in Dark Souls 1. So, but yeah, it's. I think if this really is supposed to be like the Scar of the First Edition, it's supposed to be like Dark Souls 2 at its best, which I do think it is. Even though I kind of wish they changed some things with the DLC because the DLC is all the same.
Make Fume Knight harder.
Fume Knight's perfect as he is. He's like the best
He's a
boss
great
ever.
boss.
But for what it's worth, I mean, like, still, I finally think that Dark Souls 1 is actually superior to Dark Souls 2 in a lot of ways. Well, at least more important ways. It's obviously Dark Souls 2 does a lot to improve the mechanics and does a lot to make the game more accessible to new people, and I think that's a really good thing. But it does lack a lot of core elements that made Dark Souls 1 really special. Like atmosphere, for one thing, is lacking in a lot of places in Dark Souls 2. Also, the story is kind of a bit more convoluted than Dark Souls 1, and almost unnecessarily so. and especially the way the game handles its NPCs compared to Dark Souls 1 is a much bigger downgrade. I know you like Benhart a lot. Benhart of Jugo is one of your favorite characters. And he's pretty good.
Badass.
He's pretty good for Dark Souls 2 standards, but it just doesn't. There aren't enough characters that stand out in Dark Souls 2 as Dark Souls 1, and that's a huge flaw in my books, because like you don't really want to fuck that up when the game has such strong characters. And
even just playing Dark Souls 1 just a little bit, I feel like they focus more in Dark Souls 2 like on the combat and how it affects PvP mainly. Because whenever they have patch notes, it's usually changing something mainly for PvP.
That is one thing Dark Souls 2 does perfect, I think, out of all the Souls series. Even I don't even think Bloodborne has a PvP as. Actually, I haven't played Bloodborne, but from what I see, like the PvP and the online option in Dark Souls 2, just in general, is much better than Demon Souls, much better than Dark Souls. So if you love PvP, yeah, Dark Souls 2 is definitely the way to go. Yeah, and it even has more weapons and more spells and stuff, so there's much more variety.
I'll talk more about Bloodborne PvP when we get to that.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I feel like I would enjoy Scholar of the First Sin, but I feel like I stopped watching it because I feel like the stuff that I would enjoy about it is seeing these new things for the first time. I don't feel like I would enjoy playing it if I wasn't experiencing it for the first time. I mean, I would enjoy playing it. I just don't think it'd be as great because
it does.
It's really awesome seeing all these new things. But
it is, yeah.
I feel like it's gonna be like the new things that just kind of get stale once I go to play.
Eventually, yeah,
they're gonna that's happened. I already know that's there.
Yeah, it's. I mean, they obviously mixed it up a little bit with New Game Plus so far for me, but and they also added more phantoms enemy phantoms where they weren't before New Game Plus. But yeah, it's still basically the same game. I mean, the only thing that really changes level design is when they have enemies in front of doorways that are petrified, and you have to use fragrant branches of yore. These are extremely rare in the beginning of the game, so you really have to decide: is this and hopefully get something, or do I need to find a secret to get around? It's
Oh, so
I kind of like that, really. It
yeah,
kind of
because you
forces you
always
to
have like what 2 extra yours or something like that in the
towards the end of
original,
the game, yeah.
and it's like I want to use these, but
Which I think I had like one extra by the end, but you use it so much more now.
yeah, I mean,
Um,
I think technically you could use most of them because there's a lot of stuff in what's it called? Damn it. Well, you know what the lions are, the rams, the lion
yeah,
rams
the
or
Shaded
whatever.
Woods.
Shaded woods, yes. There's a lot of stuff in there that you can
Yeah,
get to like unlock a shorter path, or
yeah.
you even
Ornifex's
unlock this.
key.
Yeah, get a key,
Yeah,
get a lion mace set. After your first run through, there's just really no reason for you to use your fragrant branches of yours anymore for that little stuff because you already have it.
right. Yeah, but the game does take a lot of the Scholar of the First Sin does take a lot of the bullshit out of the original game. Like, the bonfire when you're trying to fight the Lost Sinner at Sinner's
Oh
Rise,
yes.
where you would just spawn and instantly be attacked by enemies.
Oh,
That doesn't happen
yes.
anymore. There's only one enemy with a crossbow on that bridge, and he isn't aggroed whenever you set it up. I've tested it out, and yeah, it works fine.
Okay, good. I've died so many times to that because I was an idiot.
Yeah, it's stupid that they actually have that, but yeah, it's
Yeah. Well, before we move on to our next topic, there's so little for us to talk about Bloodborne other than the fact that we really dislike.
want it.
Yeah, other than the fact that we really want it. But one thing I want to point out is that the healing mechanic of Bloodborne, at first everyone hated it. But now some of the top PvPers from Dark Souls 2 that I watch are like mainly praise the Sun because he is the main PvPer I enjoy to watch. He is
Yeah,
no, not praise the Sun. No, yeah.
Sunlight
Wait.
Blade, right?
Sunlight Blade is the one with the top 10 videos, right?
I think so. Yeah,
The
I don't
Praise
watch
the
too.
Sun is who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I watch his PvP videos all the time. He is an amazing PvPer in any game he plays. Cause I watch him play that new Dragon Ball Z game, and whenever it comes to PvP, he understands mechanics. He really understands mind games. He was playing Bloodborne. And I think at first, I'm not entirely certain. I think at first he didn't like the healing mechanic, but then as he got to get to it more and more, he really loved it. It's so fast to heal, right? But think about it, you die really fast. If no
Yeah,
one
the damage
healed,
is
if you did the
insane.
honor system, the fights
Yeah.
would be really, really boring.
Hmm.
And he's even gone so far as to say, actually, some of them has gone so far to say that Bloodborne so far is like much better PvP than Dark Souls 2, and that they really love it. The fights are really intense because the healing system, the heal system, only game where you can parry someone fucking healing and fucking punish them for it.
Punish them for it, yeah.
Wreck
Yeah,
their
I like that a lot.
shit. Yeah, and I watched the fight, and it's really, really great compared to Dark Souls 2. I mean, Dark Souls 2, I love PvP in Dark Souls 2. It's one of the few games that, like, as you've noticed, when I play games that have either like single player or PvE content and you can choose between PvP, I generally don't PvP. I have specific games that I play if I want to PvP. Dark Souls 2 is one of the few games where I actually like play almost as much PvP as I do PvE. And
yeah, it's blended
Bloodborne
together so perfectly.
yeah, and
It's
Bloodborne looks
mixed
so
in with
much
the
more
PvE
fun.
content. Yeah, I was really skeptical of
The
We're
healing.
moving on to Bloodborne now. Might as well move on to Bloodborne now that we're talking.
Yeah,
But,
this is us going on Bloodborne. Like, since there's
Okay.
so little talk about it, we can group it in with our the first thing before we start talking
Yeah.
about the Skyrim mods.
I was pretty skeptical at first. The setting I thought was kind of interesting, but not exactly original. It kind of looked Tim Burton-y to me. So I was wondering. I was kind of now that I've seen more of it, I completely take that back because it is its own thing, and I really touched on much more Lovecraftian. But it's
I
but
love
it's
the HP
fucking
Lovecraftian
beautiful.
look.
Yeah, and the thing I was most critical of was that a lot of the armor in the game looks very, 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 very similar, and there's also fewer weapons. There aren't really spells anymore. You can create magical effects with items, which I like, but that you can't do like you can't have like a great heal and then like a repair spell and then like shoot lightning from your hands and that kind of thing. And
Yeah.
so I was thinking that maybe the game was more action oriented and not so much RPG oriented, where Dark Souls was a combination of both.
Like fun
RPG and
fantasy?
well,
Like more
it's-
medieval fantasy?
well, it's not just the setting that it is, but just like having limited options as far as like what weapons you use and what like armor you have, because most of the armor is black or really dark brown, with a few exceptions, and most of the weapons are dark and are kind of this weird. Well, they wouldn't even be good as weapons, really, but I mean, because they could bend and shit and like transform into other things. But so I thought that was really strange that these parts were lacking compared to the other Dark Souls games and Demon Souls too. I mean, there's no shields anymore,
Nope.
which I like because I don't like using shields, but it's just kind of. I think it's kind of. I think removing the shields is a good change to Bloodborne. But I'm not entirely sure about the weapons, even though a lot of the weapons do look really amazing and really well thought out.
And the trick weapons shit.
Yeah, the combat does look pretty awesome and really fast paced, and I love it.
Yeah, and from what I've seen, it seems the magic is more to augment your physical
Yeah,
capabilities.
it's more like buffs, more like putting fire on your weapon or lightning,
Yeah.
electricity stuff, and which is fine. I mean, it makes sense not to be like a wizard, I guess, in this world. So
Yeah.
so
You're
I
a
mean,
hunter.
it's just that there were so many cool spells you could do, like especially in Dark Souls 1 with Pyromancy, where you could hurt yourself but do more damage. You could actually, I was playing around with the spell yesterday, where you can actually convert undead mobs to your side, and they'll actually attack each other. Oh, it's hilarious scene. It's kind of hard to pull it off, but if you do, it works for a few seconds, and it's really funny. But so I was pretty skeptical of Bloodborne until I started watching like a lot of videos about it. Since I don't have a PS4 and I'm not gonna buy one just for fucking Bloodborne, especially if it does come on PC eventually.
Yeah.
And now that I have a much better appreciation for it, it looks so damn good.
Yeah, at
It
first I was really
hurts.
skeptical. Like watching Horror play, it was just in the beginning of the game, but watching Horror play and watching his friend who is new to a Souls game kind of go through it, and
I think it's like
it
the
was
hardest
funny
thing
because I
ever.
was like, wow, this looks so much easy. This looks so easy because I was saying compared to Dark Souls 2, and his friend was like, what? What are you talking about? This is hard.
I
And I was
wouldn't.
like, oh, you haven't played any Dark Souls games, have you? But
I don't think it'd be
but
the
like,
best game to start out with your first Souls game because you don't have a shield and you don't have,
yeah,
I don't know.
exactly. But like after actually doing my own research and watching more play and more
Yeah,
watching more PvP and different aspects, it looks really great. Now, I mean, but since neither one of us played, I don't really know much more what I can say about it.
well, the whole
Are there-
Lovecraft thing is much bigger than just having an artistic style. It's also implemented into the lore. Like the themes of the lore are themes in a lot of Lovecraft stories, like eyes and aliens and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Which is really cool for the game to have all these neat things and implement them so well. But it kind of makes me feel like it's a little less original than the Souls universe because
yeah, because
I mean,
they're their own worlds.
right?
It was high
Souls
fantasy.
Souls is like a combination of like dark mixed with Western fantasy world mixed in with realistic settings and armor and weapons for the most part, mixed with magic and stuff. And it was a really neat thing to see that when I first played Dark Souls 1 because some of the armor and stuff like the mage's armor, well, not armor but clothing, just looked so historically accurate. And I was like, wow, I've never seen that in a fantasy game before. And like the amount of detail they go even in just in the graphics, which aren't perfect, but like when the Asylum Demon in the first game dropped down and you see like this huge dust cloud come up from the ground and like pebbles and stuff flying everywhere, it's just like, holy crap. You can just feel the weight of that thing crashing down.
Yeah.
And I really liked that. And
Yeah, stuff like that, like when something stomps really hard next to you and you just sort of stagger.
Which the atmosphere and visuals in Bloodborne 2 look almost flawless. Especially like the animation and stuff. I'm
Maybe they just, like,
giddy over it.
They've done so much, like, doing such vague theories connecting Dark Souls and Dark Souls 2. They're just like,
Well, see,
just
the main
ran out of
central.
ideas.
Well, maybe, yeah. Well, Dark Souls 2, I think they started running out of some ideas, but the whole premise behind these games, ever since Demon Souls and even before that, from FromSoft games, has always been almost the same. A huge civilization you explore that's on the brink of ruin, and you have to find a way to either stop it or kind of explore it. Really, it's
Yeah, you're
about
kind of there
ruin,
after
like,
the fact.
yeah,
After the shit went down.
which is still the same in Bloodborne for the most part. I mean, and Bloodborne's kind of different because the whole catastrophe that's happened isn't something that is entirely new to the population. This isn't the first time. They call it the hunt. It's
Yeah.
the night becomes like unending for like a long period of time, and men turn into beasts, and crazy shit goes down, and crazy rituals with the moon is huge, and it's so I kind of like the idea that it's not something that they're entirely new to. People, a lot of the NPCs you talk to are in their homes. They'll have them locked doors, and they'll have this incense next to their homes to block off the beasts. You can talk to them and tell them to go to different places, then you can finally see them, and I really like that interaction with the characters. It's just, it makes me so happy.
FromSoft does do a good job with their games. Most people just have to complain about the
small
PvP
things,
system.
yeah, that people complain about with FromSoft games
Dedicated
mainly.
servers.
Well, I know, right? It doesn't feel like it sometimes in Dark Souls 2. It really doesn't.
Yeah. Before we go on to the next thing, well, do you have any more to say on that, Miller? Like Bloodborne?
One last thing. Sony, you filthy company, give me fucking Bloodborne on PC now. I deserve it.
That actually leads into what I wanted to finish up with was, Mira, you said something about why they're not on PC yet.
Well, I mean, it's a PlayStation 4 exclusive for one of many reasons, but the primary reason is that they want to sell as many PS4s as they possibly can, right? So to do that, you have your console and you have your console exclusives,
which
very hyped, very
being a Souls game.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is from like back in the day, but if you really think about it, when you think of like games like Final Fantasy VII, you don't think of Final Fantasy VII PC release, because at that time PlayStation 1 was kind of like
console gaming was huge,
the future and stuff. So yeah, and what happened was it just kind of snowballed when you hear people say, "Oh yeah, I played that on PlayStation 1." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I played that on PC." They're like, You're lying. They didn't come out with a PC version." I'm like, yes, they did. It was actually way better and also looked better. They're like, no, you don't understand. They didn't come out with a PC version. I was like, yes, they did. But you see like the Xbox, when the Xbox first came out, they had Halo 1, which was a critically acclaimed, story-wise, multiplayer-wise, everything about Halo was a good. Yeah, so, and because that was Xbox exclusive, every subsequent game in the Halo franchise was always tied to an Xbox. So when the Xbox 360 came out, people were like, "Oh, I'm going to get an Xbox 360 because the new Halo game is going to be on Xbox 360, nowhere else." the demand for games drives people to buy that specific console. So when PlayStation 3 came out, everybody was like, "Oh, I'm gonna get me a PlayStation 3 because of God of War or whatever game that was only going to be on that system." So when the people who made Demon Souls, Dark Souls 2, a game that is super
popularity
hyped,
is getting huge now,
and everybody just loves it. It's so popular. I mean, they're like, "Oh, well, guess what? We're gonna make a game. It's gonna be called Bloodborne. This is the setting. You're all gonna,
basically a Souls
come
game.
all over yourselves on it." But guess what? You gotta buy a PS4 if you want to play it.
Unreal. Alright.
Well, I'm gonna play the devil's advocate here and think that we need console exclusive games, because if we've seen anything, it's like a downfall in just the gaming industry in general. There was like a PC Master Race, and that's all I play, so that's all I have. But you look at back when console gaming was at its height, when video games were making buku bucks, doing great in sales, and it was mainly because of console exclusives. It wasn't rare for someone to have multiple consoles to play multiple games. So what we see now is we see games like Call of Duty, which is just destroying the gaming industry. But it's for everything. Everybody can play Call of Duty. Everybody can play it. Well, then it just spreads out the money. Of course, EA gets all the money, or whoever develops the game, they get all the money. But then the consoles, what do they get? Nothing. The Sony, Microsoft, they don't get anything.
I mean,
they get a cut, but they get a smaller piece of the pie. They get a smaller piece of the pie versus what they have.
I mean, in the grand scheme of things, that pie is still pretty delicious.
No, I understand that, but we can see a pattern here. Everyone's like, let's make a game for everybody, and then everybody wants this game, and then it sells a little bit. Some people PC buy it, some people PS4 buy it, Xbox One buys, and then it's like, oh, now that game developers, out of business, or they're no longer in business. I don't know. To me, I think with console exclusive, sometimes you need that to keep the consoles alive, so that you can keep people wanting to make games for it. Because like, well, why would I make a game for this console if it's going to be split up, and then I got to split the money with Sony, with Microsoft?
Consoles, just the premise behind them. They're so much easier to deal with. Like, it's much easier to get a non-gamer crowd into a consoles. Like, I think that's what the Wii was trying to do. They wanted to bring players who weren't gamers to be gamers. Like, they wanted them to be,
At least kids and moms will always like Wii Sports.
Yeah. And I think that's actually a good thing to incorporate the video games more as a cultural thing, and even maybe a family thing, and not so much as a
family
niche
thing.
Because it's been a niche market for years and years and years. So
yeah, well, that's another conversation on the general gaming community. But so another example of these types of console exclusivity, I should say, is when GTA 5 came out, it was on consoles first, but I think they struck a deal with Microsoft, so it was released earlier than the PlayStation version, and then a year later it finally comes to PC. But the thing is, with a game like Grand Theft Auto, you're gonna have people who are gonna want to buy it immediately and play it immediately, and those are the people who are gonna buy, what is it? Is Xbox One? I don't even remember what it came out on. Probably Xbox One. So people are gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna go get me an Xbox One so I can play GTA 5. I can be one of the first people. I can brag about it. I can, do all that stuff, and then people are gonna be like, well, I want to weigh my options. I want to see which version is better, because I'm on the fence between Xbox One and PS4. So if you wait, you see that the PS4 has, since PS4 has a better graphics engine or whatever, maybe I'll buy the PS4 version because overall it will run better. Or you could just wait a year and have the thing run on your beast, computer beast of a computer, and be like, well, I don't, you sit back and you're like, I don't understand what the hype is, surrounding exclusives when I could just wait, probably get it for cheaper. Probably get it with all these other, I mean, it was on Steam with the pre-order on Steam, and it had all these bonuses on top of the game. And I mean, overall, it looks better, it runs better, all this other stuff. And of course, it depends on your computer itself. But
or just wait long enough till you can
I think-
emulate it.
or you can do that.
Of course,
That's illegal.
Of course.
We don't condone
Don't do that,
illegal
kids. It's bad.
activities.
Don't listen to what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Don't do it.
So one of the things is because Bloodborne is on PS4 only, that eventually the people who are gonna buy a PS4 specifically to play Bloodborne, that's just gonna start dying off, because people are gonna be like, well, all the people who are gonna buy it specifically to play Bloodborne, they're already gonna be buying it, so profit's probably gonna start dying down. So what Sony or
I think it's
Namco,
Sony right now.
Bandai, or even the developers, depending on what their contract says, they might release Bloodborne on PC
Extra.
to just kind of make that untapped gold mine. Because when you open your game up to the PC, you open it up to like people buying it. You have a stable online game, you have mods, you have like all these different things that people like when they play games on a PC that you can't necessarily have on a console.
Like console players who have never tried to pirate a game themselves or done any research into it. I know they complain about, PC gamers, they're just going to pirate it anyways. But the thing is, I believe it's quite easy for developers. There's lots of games where developers have made it so there's like a little thing in the code that changes when someone pirates it to make the game much less enjoyable or unplayable. And I feel like I could be talking out my ass here. I feel like
I've heard of that too.
I mean, so it may not be an easy fix in terms of coding,
Right.
but it is definitely a fix against pirating. That if they were to release, say, Bloodborne on PC, and they're worried about not making revenue, well, they should just do that.
You probably
and
won't even have multiplayer for it if you did. Like,
yes, which would take away like half the game.
yeah, that's like
literally.
So
yeah, so a lot of games have it so if you want to play the game to the full potential, you have to create an account somewhere, or in order for you to get to like a certain area of of a game map, you have to buy it. Like there's developers have coded ways to put physical gates in their game to make it so maybe you just want to kind of try it out to see if you like it, and if you like it, you should probably pay for it, right? So I mean, there is ways, and pirating. People always say that pirating hurts the industry, but like when you look at the music, movies industry, some of the biggest industries that are victims of pirating, you still see them make several $100 million, anyways.
They're not necessarily hurting
on top of
industries,
things. I mean, how many people? It's not necessarily taking away their food for a month.
Yeah.
It's hurting their profit, but I mean, if you're not making as much as you did last year, then it's always a loss. And I think corporations, industries, they don't really see like it in a general sense. Like if you make $1 last year, you make $2 this year. Next year, if you make $1 again, you have a loss. That's how they see it.
Yeah, pirating only mainly hurts, say,
it would especially hurt
smaller companies. Yeah,
creators.
Like you should always support.
Yeah.
Like,
So
well, I mean,
yeah.
Again, we're not saying pirate stuff. I'm just saying that people that pirate games that are from indie developers or anyone who puts up a pirated copy to be pirated from a small person like that, they are really gimping that person. They may think they're helping. I'm spreading this guy's game out, and maybe in some situations when people do pirate, it's like, oh, this looks interesting and it's free. Let me try it, and then they're like, oh, I really like this, and this is an indie developer. I should support it. But not everyone's gonna have that attitude, and most of the time, in the end, it's just gonna really hurt that indie developer, etc., etc.
Yeah.
I think
Demos.
if more games had better
Yes.
playable demos, exactly, people would
There
be
are so
more.
many games I would have bought if there was a demo to see if I would have liked it first because it looks good. But I'm picky when I pick my games, unless it's an indie game that I fucking roll out the door.
Jesus, if there was a fucking Bloodborne demo on PC, fucking, I would still be playing that shit.
There was a demo. Okay, it was. Okay, I know you don't like
Yeah.
this game, but Just Cause 2 on
It
console.
was actually. I
It
remember
was
having fun
one
with
of the
it,
best
yeah.
demos.
I loved it.
Well, arguably, yeah. A lot of people had fun, but there was a
It
certain
was
amount of
10 minutes.
hours you
I
were
think, or
able
30
to
or
play
30 or
in
10
it,
minutes.
but you
play it.
could
You could cheat that.
So what happened was you could
Uh-huh.
cheat, you could modify it or cheat or glitch it
And
somehow
it
to
worked, yeah.
give you an infinite amount of time just to play in this. And a lot of people who played that demo are like, "Oh man, I really like what I'm playing. I want to get this, I want to get this game because then if this game is just more of this stuff,
Yeah.
then it'd be worth the money." But you
Yeah,
get
it's
that
kind of funny.
horrible
The more stuff
story
they
and
added to the game,
all
actually
this
makes it
other
worse.
stuff.
To the actual game rather than the demo. I just think that's the
Yeah,
funniest.
but yeah, so I'm pretty sure people would be more inclined to pay money for the
Yeah.
demo extended
I've actually
time
had a really weird
than the
experience
actual
with
game
demos.
itself.
It's like Just Cause 2 was one of the best demos I played and really fun on the Xbox 360. But I also played a demo for the game The Darkness, the first one. And it was kind of neat, and it got me to buy the game, and I actually really liked the game. But the thing is, the actual game is much more interesting. Like, way more interesting than the demo. I don't know how that is. It's because it's the same combat, it's the same mechanics, it's the same, it is the game. But it's like, wow, this demo could have been a lot better. Like, I don't know. You think they'd try to make it the best part of the game, one of the best parts of the game to show the player, not the most boring part. So.
It makes me think. I was just talking to someone last week who was asking me about Final Fantasy 14 and saying they absolutely hated the trial. And the thing is, I can sympathize because not only you only have 14 days to play the trial.
Yeah.
I mean, if you knew how, which you need to know how by first playing the game first, you could get a level 50, which within, well, if you're, unless you farm super hardcore, you can get a level 50, which in 3 to 4 days, and start unlocking the really fun content. But herein lies the issue with that as well. You cannot form your own group. You can be invited to a group, but you cannot make your own group. This person was doing a trial with one of their best friends that they play games with all the time. So not only do you have only the low-level content to try out, which, while still fun, I feel like a lot of the fun can be had for those level 50s, especially since they keep adding content like the Hildebrand quest, all these really fun, quirky quests for these level 50s. But the 14-day trial, it could be a lot better if it showed like maybe give you a level 50, right, to start off with, and use that to sort of get a feel. Maybe 1 week could be the lower level, and then there's a little option the second week to, now that you know a bit about the game, how about we give you a level 50, one level 50 of your choice, and maybe not even the job, just a class to level 50, and you can see how it is. But without that kind of knowledge of what kind of fun you're gonna have, even in the middle of your leveling experience, all the way to the end of your leveling experience, and post 50, and I mean post 60 when the expansion comes out, whatever. It's not a good way. Some trials for MMOs, some demos just don't do the job well enough, like
Yeah.
at all. Like if I know that if I would have done a trial before I'd actually playing the game, I never would have bought it for myself. I would have, because I just wouldn't have. But now I love the game. I play it all the
Doesn't-
time.
Doesn't WoW have a demo thing too?
Yes, it has a trial,
Like a
and
trial,
I
yeah.
didn't get past a day of it.
Well, see, their trial is you can play the game
Yes.
for free
yeah.
up to like level 20 or something like that, or
Like-
25. I don't know. It's probably changed because
Yeah,
they
it's
are
like
literally
Wizard 101.
desperate for
If you
people.
didn't subscribe, you could play for free, but only in beginning areas. You can't get to
Right.
level 60 if
But you have to be in
really
beginning.
didn't want to pay.
Oh my
Well, I don't
God.
know what the level cap is now. You could,
You
if you really didn't want to play,
really
you could
didn't
find
wanna
level
play.
60 to in the beginning areas. I mean, I paid for it for like 3 months, and I got the cap. I beat the game, beat the story, quote story, up to that point in time.
Yeah.
But then after that, I just had, I think I didn't have money to resubscribe. And by the time I did have money to resubscribe, there was better
Just didn't
games that I
care.
found.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I know Savage played World of Warcraft for quite a while.
now
I
that
liked it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've played through quite a few expansions.
told me
and
what
I did enjoy it.
Savage-
It just got
you
kind of
told us
stale
was
toward the
that
end.
every
And
now and then you gotta play
got to level
and
100
your
and I was
reasoning
done.
was because I spent 5 years of my life on this game. But
yeah, pretty much. I was like, I spent a lot of money on this game. I should
But
probably go
so
play it.
sad.
So
Yeah, so
no, you go ahead. I was just gonna
I
wait
think
to the
they're-
next topic.
oh,
You go ahead.
God. They're just I feel like World of Warcraft, like Blizzard or whoever develops it, they need to stop developing for
Yes,
that
like
game
Heroes
the
of
game,
Storm,
and make
but
a
better
new
than that.
game.
The game
They
they
need
made
to-
before was so much better.
They need
They
to
pull
literally
a Final
say
Fantasy 14 where they fucking
Then-
destroy the entire old game and make a completely new game, but in this, like Final Fantasy 14 used to suck whenever people don't like sucking. Well, it's because I could say suck balls, but some people like that. Anyways,
wait, what?
suck donkey herpy balls, but then
Sweaty donkey
then
nuts.
they had the calamity. Got rid of not everything. I haven't played before the realming board, but they rechanged the game and made a realming board, and now it's a really popular game, and a lot of people love it. It became really, really popular compared to what it used to be.
It's won a bunch of rewards. It's on like one of the
stroke
best
genius.
MMOs
Technically
of
the same
whatever.
game, just they completely changed the story.
Well,
Yeah,
they changed.
mechanics.
They didn't just change the
Yeah.
story. They changed the engine it runs on. They changed the mechanics. They changed
Without
They
having
changed
to advertise
everything
and pay for it.
about it.
Without having to completely make a new game, even though technically it is.
Did people have to pay for it?
It is literally a new
So
game.
yeah, it's literally a new
Did
game.
people have to pay for the expansion thing, or is it just?
So what happened was the people who initially
Yeah.
bought Final Fantasy 14 back before the Realm Reborn happened, they were they bought the new one. I don't remember if it was at like a discounted price or not, but they got a bunch of perks
Like an entirely
for
different story.
having the first game.
They got a better game.
Yeah, like
and they
a
got,
better
but
game.
No, I mean,
Got a better game.
Pixelate told me, and I gotta go watch the story again. But Pixelate told me that as well as playing her game, she has watched from a recording of someone else who owned Final Fantasy 14 before Realm Reborn, and it's a completely different story. There's different interactions, different things said to you because you are an original Warrior of Light. You're not the new Warrior of Light. So it's really neat.
Yeah, so
But that completely got way off topic from Bloodborne. Why it isn't on PC? But that was good.
I think we're. Yeah.
But seeing as we're nearing 2 hours, I want to get to.
yeah. Well, I mean, we're talking about
because I
fun.
feel like we're sort of running out. I want to go to a completely new topic that we all can talk about. which would be the whole controversy is just in the past week with Skyrim mods.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not just Skyrim mod. So, what it is Steam decided that it was a good idea to let the people who put their mods on the Steam Workshop start charging for them, right? So they're like, okay, so you as a modder, you can set the price for your mods. So the modders would go in and they would take their original mods down and re-upload them, and they would put a price tag on them if they choose to. So I didn't know if they actually had like a donation button, but they said it was either you can set it to free, up, donate money to this modder, or actually have a price tag on it. So Valve would get a percentage of the money, as well as the developer of the game would get a percentage of the money, and I think at the end the modder would get like 20-25% of it. But
what was it? I know Bethesda got 45%, so that means Steam got 30% at the end of that.
yes, which I mean, if you really think about it, I mean, the developer literally made a game for you to mod. They actually allowed you to mod it, which is pretty big, because developers and publishers and companies like that, they don't, if you change anything in a game, they don't, some companies really don't like that. Valve, which hosts your mods and actually allows a system in which other people can put the mods into your game.
One of the first, well, not maybe one of the first, but one of the few companies early on when they were making their games who really wanted to push forward with making it completely moddable, because I was doing some research on this the other day because of, in lieu of this discussion. They really wanted the game to be pretty much you can do whatever you want in the game, do what you want in the game. So they made it completely moddable. So even if you don't make a mod yourself, still the idea that you can make whatever you want for this game to do what you want, and it's a great idea. And they completely agreed with taking it down too, because they just wanted to make it better for the community, for the developers themselves, because that's what they see in modders. Modders are developers. They add stuff to their game, make their game more popular, and they wanted their little solo worker developers to get a cut of the profits for putting the hard work there in. But seeing the big protest again, the most popular mod on Steam during this whole thing with a mod with a sign. On one side it said "Free the mods," on the other side it said "No paid mods" in lowercase. And it was the most popular mod on Steam, and Bethesda took that as, okay, you guys obviously don't want this, so we're not going to do this.
I think instead of just having an outright system in which a modder can set a price for the thing, they should just literally have a donation button that facilitates a process like that. Because, I mean, if you look at, let's say, the Minecraft modding community, you have a lot of those modders who have Patreons and donation buttons, and Patreon basically is you're paying every month to this modder anyways, and you can stop it at any time. But I mean,
choice.
It's really no different than it's really no different than oh, I want this mod in my game. I have to pay money. I see how it is.
Not to you guys. You might have been there. I was talking to someone on Final Fantasy 14 about it. While I agree completely with the fact that modders who put a lot of hard work should get a reward for it, right? But that's why a lot of them set up donations and stuff like that. And the reason why I think this system worked a bit better than what was happening in the past week was, while I didn't know that modders could set a donate thing, which is a really good idea on Steam's part to add that you can make a free donate or blah blah blah. is the fact that if modders just set it up so that they only, I mean, this is kind of a bit of a stupidity, lack of foresight on the modder's part, that if I go to play a mod and I really like it and I have the money to do so, I'll donate, support this guy, keep him coming, keep updating with the patches, keep going. I like it. But if you make a mod, the same mod, I've never played it before, but you make it like 25 cents or $1, even those low amounts, I mean, as many mods as I like to put on my game, that'll add up to a lot. Savage did the math, or you did the math, didn't you? Someone did the math. It was like I had to pay like $250 just for all the mods I have on my game right now. Oh, it was Rion. It was Rion. Yeah, I had to pay like $250 just for all these mods. If they all each cost like $1 or even $1 something each, and if that was the average. But
I think one of the biggest problems for this whole thing is like, if you're trying to find a new mod and stuff, there's always the risk of this mod can break my game. It could break my save. I could just have to start all over. I could have to get rid of this mod and other mods to make this mod work. Do you really want to like have to be forced to pay for a mod to test that out? You'd be more inclined to not do that.
Well, they have a So how they had it is that if you saw a mod and you wanted to try it out, there was a period in which you could try the mod out
really?
before
That
they
is
would
a
require you
good
to pay
idea.
for it.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So I mean, they actually thought it out a bit. It's just their execution and probably some of the wording was very off-putting to some people. So I mean, after reading what they like the official Valve, article and all this other stuff, I mean, I can understand how they want, to support their modding community. Valve, Gabe Newell even came out and said, Valve was built on
Gary's
modded games, Dota 2.
It's all a mod.
I mean, Gary's mod, it's a popular mod for their game. I mean, they're like Dota 2, TF2, they were all, mods before they were actual games. And he's like, we don't want to detract from, people from modding. We just want to give back to them because, I mean, going back to Minecraft, some modders have actually gotten employed by Mojang to actually work for Mojang on Minecraft. So, I mean, it's a good idea, but they need to actually think it through better, to be honest. And I mean, especially when people started posting up mods, like there's this $99 $99 mod that only puts additional plates in Whiterun, and it was up there. And I mean, it was in the category of waiting to be approved mod. But there's a lot of people who started abusing the system, and I think they need to just reevaluate it, make it maybe just put in a donation option, and only that.
It seems more modders complained about it. Like one thing some people were saying is that like my hobby is being ruined right before my eyes, so wasted years, because modding is like a community-driven hobby, and this person was sad to see a hobby that he really loved just put behind a paywall. I mean, despite the fact that you can upload it for free, still he seemed to dislike it. But I was looking up some mods that people were doing complaining, like the sign earlier. There's another one that says there's a really well-dressed beggar outside a city, and she just sits there and says, "Give me money" for no reason. It's just like,
it does kind of ruin this vision of modders being completely like altruistic.
yeah.
Just giving you more content basically now with this whole with the idea of that they want money first. It's like, well, how much are you doing this to actually improve the game, or how much are you doing this just to get some cash? It creates a controversy that wasn't really there.
So
at least potentially.
So you're thinking that some people who mod games, they would instead of doing it for
Well,
free,
yeah,
they would
it'd be
start
much more
doing
of an
it for
inspiration to
pay.
just start just making mods that are. It'd be easier. It'd be actually smarter to make more mods that would require payments, and then to make a really good mod that's completely free. To put the time into that. Not that everyone would do that.
Well,
but
I
it's
mean,
just
what if
kinda- it could create that could be created because of this.
Well, I mean, I think some people who mod, they think
Yeah.
that if they deserve money for their mod, then they put it out there, and if it's a decent mod, if it's a good
Yeah,
mod, if it actually has
And they surely deserve
know-
it, but it's
Oh,
they should also go in with the expectation without
but I mean,
getting any money.
I feel like because this is how I'm picturing it in my head. Let's say you're a store owner and you sell clothes or whatever. Somebody comes in and they try on this shirt and they're like, "Well, I want this shirt. You have to give it to me for free."
Mm,
And you sit there and you're like, "Well, no, because this is a product I'm selling. I can't give it to you for free. You can have a free sample." I mean, I don't know how you give a free
you
sample of
try
a
it
shirt,
out,
but like,
I
I
guess.
mean, yeah.
I
So
just
you tried it
found
on.
something that
I don't know,
explains
just-
why modders disliked it. Sky UI, you know how a lot of mods are based off Sky UI?
Yes.
Well, Sky UI
yes.
became, but we had to pay for it, right, to use it in the past week. That means modders
Really?
whose mods are based off the Sky UI mods themselves also have to pay for it in order to build their work off of it. So, like, it's
Right.
something that was a hobby to them, like they're just doing mods just to pass them out. And what if they're not a really
Yeah.
good mod maker themselves? Then they're definitely not gonna make.
Or if they're new,
If they're new, they're kind of
they're kind of forced to buy it.
yeah,
and
and
it's
it's.
like, that didn't exist before. Why are we having this now?
Well, then wouldn't it be on the person
Yeah,
who
but
developed
it's
the mod
there,
initially, the
like,
Sky UI
Oh, yeah,
people?
but they're not forced
But
to
it's
change
their,
it. If
it's their, it's up to their discretion, right? With this system, whether or not they.
yeah.
Well, so if it's up to
Well,
their
that's the
discretion,
point,
it actually hurts a lot of the
right?
mod makers that make amazing ass
Right.
mods that rely on these integral builds for a lot of people's mods because it makes it easier to make the mod or to use the mod. And while that would be like just seem like, oh well, why don't they just buy it? I mean, it's their choice whether or not to buy it. And if they choose they don't want to buy it, then that also hurts us, the people who don't make mods but like to use mods, because even if we are okay with paying for mods, a lot of mods are just gonna not be pushed out if the modders themselves don't want to buy the builds that they base their work off of. So
Well, I mean, okay, so what is to stop? Well, you use Sky UI. What is to stop the people who made Sky UI from not putting that paywall in anyways? Like, even if Steam's not supporting this anymore, what if they're like, well, this was
well,
a
I'm
good
sure they
idea.
get
I want to get paid
donations
for
up
my
the
work.
ass.
What if they put it again? Well, it's not just the donations. What if they literally say, "This is my product. I want to sell it. You have to
I
pay
don't
money
know.
to use this from now on."
I don't know if that's like actually legal because they're using like Bethesda's
Well,
engine anyway,
Well,
and
no,
so they're not entirely.
well, so Flip
They
already
wanted to
said
make
that
it, yeah,
Bethesda
yeah.
said they wanted
But
to
does
make their
that mean
games
modders can just
moddable.
do that?
So that's already a somewhat an agreement that
well,
the people
yes,
who made Sky
but the
UI, they are allowed to use this, and it depends on their code. Like, if their code is original code, that is their copyright.
thing
They can
with
go copyright it and make money off of that.
the Bethesda wanting to make it fully moddable is that when there was the money split, Valve got 30%. That was set in stone. How much money the modder made and how much money Bethesda made off of these mods was completely up to Bethesda. So even then, the modders didn't really have a say in that. But also on slightly different topic, but more back on why modders also wanted it to be free, is that when I put up the first mod that was paid for, it was for Portal 2. and I forget what the mod was, but there were so many negative reviews on it, and that the mod wasn't even worth what we had to pay for it. And from then, modders formed a Forever Free movement, which is a public promise that content is here to stay and will never disappear behind a paywall. Fellow modders may feel safe in the knowledge that work is safe to build on, and players have a guarantee that they will never be asked to pay for future expansions, bug fixes, or premium content. And this just goes back into the Sky UI thing.
Well, I mean, let's just say that if that never happened, what if somebody who has a mod that's very popular, that's very well polished, literally it's a really high demand mod. What if they decide that I wrote all this code by myself. I put so much time into this. I think I should see a return.
Well, no,
Like, would anybody argue that?
Like,
I mean,
me, I don't know about you guys. I mean, I think I know about you guys. I'm just not going to assume. I don't make mods, so my opinion here is mainly from a consumer perspective. But I kind of like hear more about the mod buying system from you. The fact that they can set it for free or to donate, right? Or even to pay for. You could try it out. I kind of agreed with the Steam system, but if a majority of modders themselves see a problem with it, not modding myself, I don't know why they see a problem, but if they do, who am I to say that they're wrong? Because I don't make mods, I'm not in their situation.
yeah, I mean, I understand maybe that point of view. It looks way different, but I mean, I see this a lot on Tumblr with people who do art commissions. Like some people would put their art on like DeviantArt, and other people would literally take it and sell it, and the original artist wouldn't get any of the money, which is literally a crime because the original artist has I mean, it's not like official copyright, but they created it. It's their original material, and they should have rights to their art. Well, the thing is, a lot of the art is fan art, and the original creators of, like, say, the show they fan arted about. What if they wanted, these artists to stop making art and making money off of art? And I mean, they could do that, but do they? No, because it just facilitates,
they make it
all these other things. I mean, in this day and age, I mean, it's hard to even find things that are like original. But I mean, like going back to like the modders, if they feel like their original code for this specific game warrants, a price tag, then they should have that right to ask for people to pay for their mods, right? Now, if Valve or Bethesda or whoever was forcing their hand saying you have to make your mod for money so we can make money, then that's a whole different story. Now, but that wasn't the case, right? Because we saw how if you set your mod to free, that means zero money is going to Valve and zero money is going to Bethesda and zero money is going to the modder. Right, so why couldn't everybody who was against the mod, price thingy, just set all their mods to zero? I mean, you're gonna have the jokers who have like the $100.
It's just like
additional plates in Whiterun thing, but
yeah, I mean, and
just
on the flip side of my arguments before, there are obviously, as you can see by people putting in paid mods, who were in favor of the paid mods, and they make good points too, because one of them mentioned that when he first put up a paid mod, he's like, I sold a mod once and everyone was angry, right, that I sold the mod. But then people started realizing that because he was selling the mod, he put a lot more work into it than when he did for free, and people were getting a much better mod out of it. So, I mean, we have these good points on both sides. It's just
exactly.
It seems
But now it doesn't even matter, right? Because isn't it fucking close?
Yes,
Yeah.
Well, they might revisit it later when they have it more fleshed out. I think when it comes to like the amount of money going to whoever, I think like the modder should have an advocate, because it really sounds like Bethesda is like, oh well, I think I deserve 40% if Valve's getting
Yeah.
30,
Yeah.
and
And the
modders should
thing
just
is
get
too,
whatever's left over.
this might have gotten better with a game that isn't 4 years old. Sure, lots of people still play Skyrim, but they're suddenly putting up a paywall for mods on a game that people have played and modded for the past 4 years, right? It's just a sudden change, right? That just
Mhm.
freaks people out. Like, I think it's a good idea. They just need a better
People are going to be less inspired to
platform
do it.
or a better way of implementing it. Like maybe ease into it, or I don't know. I really don't know. Like maybe Skyrim wasn't the best place to do this, but then again, Bethesda is one of the few people that Valve talked to, or maybe one of the only companies that agreed to this. I don't know whose idea it was. I think Valve came to Bethesda about it, or it could have been vice versa. I'm not entirely sure.
Mm.
It could have just been like an
Yeah.
email between Gabe Newell and the fucking CEO of Bethesda. They're like, hey, you got that game with
Shit
like
ton of
Yeah.
mods.
30K's worth of mod. Maybe we should
Yeah.
start, thinking about
And
modders
like
and
Gabe
getting
Newell,
them paid
before
for
they
their hard work
closed
and
it, Gabe
shit.
Newell did go on Reddit, like
But I mean-
Seth sent to Gabe even got downvoted 800 downvotes or whatever on Reddit. But the reasoning behind him going on Reddit was he came on and I don't know if this is a direct quote, it's in quotation, but it said he came on because he wanted to see if people were where is it? Basically, it said he wanted to see if people were complaining about the right reasons, not just because, oh, I don't want to pay for this, this, and that. Is basically, or is there actual legitimate reasons other than I don't want to pay for this that we should bring down these mods? And it seems that Gabe Newell found enough legitimate reasonings with people's arguments to bring it down. They just need to look for a better platform to implement this. Still think they should just go forth with a donate button.
Sure. Yeah.
And well, I mean, there's also, if Valve is going to host a donation type
get some.
button on their Steam application, then they need to find a way to do that, because I mean,
And just
a
use
lot of
Nexus
people use
mods.
PayPal to get donations,
Yeah,
and
they just
PayPal
use
gets a
Nexus
percentage
mods.
of the
Oh, we
money
donate
donated.
to
So
here, blah blah blah.
yeah, well, they also use PayPal as a system in which you can donate money to the
I
creators,
think
and
Steam
like
would
I
probably
said,
get
PayPal gets a percentage of it.
Might just
So
be this.
Oh yeah.
Well,
I would think.
Well,
That's why
I
they had
guess
that
the reason they don't
percentage
have a donate
thing in
button, if
place.
they
I
were
mean,
to get a
they didn't
percentage,
necessarily make it a
is
secret.
I guess that's why they did the whole paid mod thing, because they'd have to talk of, like in the case of Skyrim, they had to talk about Skyrim before they can start getting profit off of mods, right? Or talk to Bethesda, I mean. So I guess maybe that's, well, hopefully they talk to Bethesda. Maybe we should just do a donate button to make it easier for people to give money to these creators they adore,
I think Valve also thought it was a good idea because when, like, especially with Dota and TF2, some of the things
Release
people
it.
submit, like, they really like, and they actually do pay the modders or the creators to put it in the
waiting
official
for
game.
EO update.
And they pay them really good because
They're waiting for that new EO
holy, oh my god. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's just a weird thing.
Feels like
It's a really interesting situation.
Like I said, they probably need to flesh it out. The modders need to have like a person
Feels
to
like
advocate for them.
created more attention than what was originally there, and so it's kind of like, well, yeah.
Well, if I was a person who played like Skyrim, well, I am a person who plays Skyrim, but if I was a person who was looking to mod my Skyrim, and I'm a player, like I don't know anything about how to mod or, what they do. And if I was, going through the Steam Workshop and I didn't know anything about the, Nexus or whatever, and I saw this price tag, of course I'd be like, well, why do I have to pay for this? But I think most people who mod understand that these things are like, for the most part, an original, thing. I mean, I hope you would pick the good mods like Midas Magic and stuff like that. But
a lot of other companies, because they wouldn't allow other people to make a profit off of their game, even though they're the ones who made the mods. They're still using their product, and I totally get that. And
I think
so that way, if you just donate to this person, that way they get the money from people who voluntarily give it to them, and really, they're not necessarily making a profit off of it.
I will admit that.
I mean, they're not forcing a profit. I guess they're not.
Well, if a game is already allowing you to mod their game, they're gonna be open to the idea
people that
of
improve the
potentially
experience
making
of
more
your
money
game happy
off of it. Yeah, and
EA isn't open about that.
Like, I know a lot of people who bought Skyrim.
I mean, I will admit that
because
if I had
mods.
to pay for mods, I probably wouldn't play Skyrim. Like,
Because
as
you
much
can
as I
mod
am
it.
for
No,
developers, these modders getting their money, I probably wouldn't play. Yeah, it's just like it's easier to not. I mean, especially since
if you have a choice to give,
since it's just like an on phase. Like, sometimes I just feel playing like Skyrim. I'm not gonna pay extra to
get more content on it.
Well, it's kind of like the
but
idea of
adds up
DLC.
a lot more than DLC.
Which is controversial in and of itself already.
Yeah, there's that much
Well,
more
I think it adds up more because there is just that much more.
The price adds up. I mean, I don't have less than 100 mods. At the very least, I'll have 100 mods on Skyrim. I can't afford that.
Does surprise me that this guy UI came.
I mean,
had a price restriction.
He does have donate here, blah blah blah, and I'm sure.
Right.
I mean,
I'm sure he's gotten a ton of money. The people who made that got a ton of money for it, but it's like.
Well, for every person who does donate, there's probably going to be like 5 more who don't. So
like,
they just probably thought they deserved
very
more
little
than they
people
do.
who use mods, and even less people will use the mods if they have to pay for it. Because let's face it, some people don't want to shell out 25 cents. Even if 25 cents will get you a really awesome mod, like the fucking war mods in Skyrim that make random wars between everything, I wouldn't buy it. Because mods make your...
You know what mod I really want to see? Those elemental dragons.
What?
That thing has died so
Wait, the Better Dragons
so long
mod?
ago.
The one that made
I miss it so badly.
Elements to them?
Well, no, the one that added elemental dragons.
Updated.
Because I had this
right now.
But he literally quit that mod, so he's never gonna revisit it again. I don't think he even released the code for other people to pick it up.
I don't know if you ever tried.
And that just goes into another can of worms.
Better Dragons mod. You can choose to make all your dragons.
Yeah.
Wait, you choose to make your
talking to the person who
harder, but you can also choose not to.
Yeah.
But it has really cool animal dragons, like a shadow dragon, a forest dragon. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so when the elemental dragons got discontinued, I used that mod, and I didn't like it because it didn't do what I wanted to do. So I would have paid $10 to get that thing again.
I don't think I have any dragon mods.
I would have.
Yeah.
I was fighting dragons.
In a game about dragons.
Fucking shit.
Well, that's why there's dragon mods to make it better experience.
But yeah.
But
on the topic of
on
Skyrim mods, we seem
on
to
that
be,
note.
Well, I mean, we're just
all over the place.
all over the place, and there's really no right answer to this because the people who it would benefit the most of them seem to be against it. But yeah, well, that was we've hit 2 hours. I think we should wrap it up there. Say that was a really good discussion. Well, now
Yeah, so-
next Tuesday.
What is next?
We never talked about Heavensward and the new info that was released. So next Tuesday, we should start with that and maybe talk a little bit about RuPaul's Drag Race. But we'll see how far, because we talked a lot more than the topics we made up this week. So next week, expect at least RuPaul's Drag Race and more discussion on Final Fantasy XIV expansion, Heavensward. The podcasts are normally gonna be Fuff, me.
Heart of Thorns
What?
too.
Oh yeah, and Heart of Thorns for Good Wars too, but yeah,
Oh,
so
yes.
but this has been a
Guild Wars
podcast by
Poo.
Fuff, Bunny, and Lair, and it's usually gonna be us. We're gonna have guests every now and then like Savage, but it's basically a mumble podcast, and we're the ones usually in here. Yeah, his wifey got so mad. But
I
yeah,
think he got wifey
thanks for
aggroed.
tuning in, and hope to see you next week.